Before us, deep time, dividing lines, and first footsteps. Picture Earth long before cities, ships, or even firelight. Forests stitched across Africa, then parted into mosaic landscapes, woodland patches, gallery forests, open savannas rising and falling with shifting rainfall and ancient climate cycles. Somewhere in this changing world, between roughly 7 and 6 million years ago, a lineage split away from the ancestors of modern chimpanzees and bonobos. We don't know the exact day or the exact creature, but we can stitch the story from bones and stones, from tooth enamel and ancient lake beds, from footprints pressed into volcanic ash, and the angle of a skull's opening where the spine enters. That opening, the foramen magnum, is one of our earliest signatures. When it tucks under the skull instead of behind it, it hints at an upright posture, a head balanced over a bipedal body. The first suspects at the scene, Sahelanthropus chadensis, 2 Mai, discovered in 2001 in Chad and described in 2002, is dated to about 7 to 6 Ma. The skull is a mosaic, ape-like brain size, but a foramen magnum placement that may indicate upright stance. Whether it's a true hominin is still debated, but it's close to the split and tells us Central Africa, not just East, was part of the stage. Orang tujanensis from Kenya's Tujan Hills, described in 2001. Its femur shows traits consistent with bipedal loading, a hint that occasional two-legged walking was already in play. Ardipithecus cadabra 52852 Ma and Ardipithecus ramidus Ardi 4.4 Ma, published in detail in 2009. Ardi's world was woodland, not open grassland. Her pelvis and foot suggest a peculiar combination, capable of bipedal walking on the ground, still adept in trees. Not a knuckle, a walker like chimps. Hypothesis: watch. Why walk upright? Multiple ideas survive. Energy efficiency over long distances, thermoregulation, less sun on the back, more wind cooling upright bodies, freeing hands for carrying infants or food, and wading foraging in patchy wetlands. It was probably many forces at once, acting over millions of years. The Australopithecines, hips, hands, and a new pace. By 4239 Ma, Australopithecus anamensis appears in East Africa. Shortly after, Australopithecus afarensis, the species of Lucy, discovered in 1974 at Hadar, Ethiopia, roams 3.9-3.0 Ma. Lucy's pelvis and knee scream biped, her arms still whisper climbing. In 1978, at Latoli in Tanzania, Mary Leakey's team uncovered 3.66 Ma footprints laid into ash. 2, perhaps 3 individuals walking on soft ground. The impressions show a human-like toe-off and heel strike. These weren't chimps playing pretend. They're our kind of walkers. Brains, however, remained small, roughly 375-55 cc in Australopiths, not far from chimpanzee range. Yet upright walking was locked in, and dentition changed. Smaller canines, thicker enamel reflecting a broader, tougher diet. Other branches, same era, Au Africanus 302.2. Ma, South Africa, shows further dental and facial changes. Kenyanthropus platyops, a 3.5 Ma from Kenya, is controversial. A flat-faced skull fragment that some see as a distinct branch. Later, robust cousins, genus Paranthropus, e.g. P. aethiopicus, P. boisei, P. boisei, robustus 2.712.2, Ma evolved powerful jaws and massive molars for grinding hard foods, a dietary specialization that ultimately dead-ended. The first stones. For decades, archaeologists placed the earliest stone tools at Old Dowan sites 2.6 Ma from Ethiopia's Gona and Hadar, simple flakes knocked from cobbles to create sharp edges for cutting meat or woody plants. Then, in 2015, a team led by Sonia Harmond reported tools from Lemekwi 3 in Kenya, dated to C 3.3 Ma, 500,000 years older than older one. If that holds up, many accept it. Some reserve judgment. It nudges tool-making into the world of Australopiths, long before the genus Homo. Either way, by 2.6 Ma, stone tools were fully part of the hominin toolkit. Myth mirror. Many cultures preserve origin stories that hinge on a first gift, naming, fire, cultivation, order from chaos. In Genesis, Adam names the animals. In Mesopotamian myths, crafts and knowledge arrive via gods or culture heroes. In Greek lore, Prometheus steals fire. Archaeology's first stones rhyme with those myths, a moment when a clever primate began to shape the world rather than merely endure it. The climate drum that set the tempo. All of this unfolded under a powerful metronome. Pleistocene climate cycling, driven by Milankovitch orbital rhythms. As Earth's tilt and orbit changed, ice advanced and retreated, rainfall belts migrated, woodlands blinked in and out. The Pleistocene spans 258 Ma to 11.7 thousand years ago, but the late Miocene and Pliocene already saw big swings. Evolution didn't happen in a straight line. It happened on a seesaw. Key takeaways. Bipedalism precedes big brains. Tool use likely predates Homo. Multiple hominin species coexisted. We're the last twig on a big branching tree. The environment was not a backdrop. it was a sculptor. Next, the curtain rises on Homo. Brains tick upward, bodies stretch into endurance machines, and a stranger leaves Africa for the first time. The rise of Homo, hands, fire, distance, and the first exits. Around 2.8-2.3 Ma, fossils begin showing a shift, slightly bigger brains, more human-like hands, teeth trending smaller, and a growing reliance on stone tools. The name we give this suite is Homo, with Homo habilis and Homo rudolfensis, often cited as early representatives. The record is patchy and debated, but one thing is clear. Bis tutunoma, Homo ergaster, Homo erectus appears, and the world as we knew it changes. Homo erectus surgaster, the long game runner Homo erectus Africa and Asia, and Homo ergaster, often used for early African forms, span an enormous time, roughly 1.9 Ma to perhaps 143 K in Southeast Asia. Their bodies were taller, often 1.518 meep, with long legs, shorter arms, and narrower hips than Australopiths. The shoulder and hand anatomy suggests better throwing and manipulation. The foot shows spring arches suited for distance, walking and running. Brain volume climbs into the 600-900+ cc range early, reaching E1000 cc in later forms. Endurance hunting hypothesis. Some researchers, notably Lieberman, Bramble, argue that our anatomy, nuchal ligaments, sweat cooling, Achilles tendon elasticity, long legs, emerged for endurance running, letting early Homo chase prey to heat exhaustion in open landscapes. Others see mixed strategies: scavenging, ambush, opportunistic tactics. Either way, mobility becomes the master skill. The Great Departure out of Africa, Bis 1.8 Ma. Hominins appear at Dmanisi in Georgia Caucasus. The site holds multiple skulls with small brains, 546-730 cc, but unmistakably Homo-like bodies and tools. Dmanisi tells us two crucial things. You don't need a modern-sized brain to leave Africa, and hominins could thrive in new climates early. Soon, Homo erectus fossils appear in Java A1.6-1.5 Ma, Java man, discovered by Eugene Dubois, and in China, Peking man, Jokudian caves, later than 700 Ka in many layers. By a million years ago, H. erectus was a pan-sea Old World species. Stones become stories, Acheulean intelligence. Around 1.76 Ma, a new technology arises in Africa, the Acheulean. Think teardrop-shaped hand axes and cleavers. Bifacially worked with symmetry and standardization. Acheulean sites pepper Africa, spread to the Near East and India, and appear patchily in Europe. Making a fine hand axe isn't trivial. It requires planning, angle control, and a mental template, what archaeologists call operative chains. As a cognitive signal, Acheulean tools speak of foresight. Fire, comfort, defense, chemistry. Few thresholds rival the control of fire. It warms, extends the day, deters predators, transforms food. Evidence for controlled fire is famously hard to prove. Wildfires are ancient, but several sites stand out. Wonderwork Cave, South Africa, possible ash and burned bone deep inside the cave, dated to E1.0 Ma argued, as controlled burning rather than natural wildfire blowing. Gesher Benot Yaakov, Israel, 790 K layers with clusters of burned flints and plant remains that looked like hearth zones. Jokudian, China, burned bones and ashy deposits. Interpretations are contested, but many accept habitual fire by mid-Pleistocene Homo. The cooking hypothesis. Wrangham proposes that cooking made calories more accessible, shrinking gut size and fueling larger brains. Even if formal cooking took time to standardize, fire surely amplified social life. Conversations at night, skill transmission, shared meals, group defense, social brains, long childhoods. Bigger brains are expensive. Human infants arrive early, helpless, and remain dependent for years. Anthropologists call this cooperative breeding. Parents, grandparents, aunts, and older siblings all help. The grandmother hypothesis, Kristen Hawkes, suggests post-reproductive lifespan in human females, rare in mammals, evolved because grandmothers improve offspring, survival by provisioning and tutoring. Living in cooperative bands also selects for social cognition, reading intent, sharing knowledge, tracking debts of food and favors. Religious parallel. Many traditions frame human uniqueness around language, stewardship, and law. In Judeo-Christian texts, humans are tasked to tend and keep creation. In Islamic thought, humans are Khalifa stewards. In Hindu cosmology, the ages yugas rotate through moral and physical cycles. These resonate with archaeology's picture, as hominins networked, shared food, and built norms. Culture, not just genes, became an inheritance. Language glimmers. When did language emerge? Bones rarely say. The hyoid, a throat bone in Neanderthals, is modern. Like the FOXP2 genes-derived variant is shared by Neanderthals and modern humans, so it's older than our split. But fully symbolic recursive language likely took time. Many scholars put the roots at least in H. heidelbergensis, or earlier. Few argue that H. erectus had nothing but grunts. The safe line, speech evolved gradually, piggybacking on social life and tool complexity, long before writing or art. From raw flakes to prepared cores. By 400 and 300 K, a new stone logic appears. Levallois prepared decor technology. Instead of randomly flaking, knappers carefully shape a core so that one controlled strike yields a pre-airplanned flake. Levallois shows abstract planning and spreads with Middle Stone Age Africa and Middle Paleolithic Eurasia peoples, our probable ancestors and cousins. By the mid-Pleistocene, the world held tall, far-traveling Homo with bigger brains, curated tools, habitual fire, and cooperative social webs. One branch, likely Homo heidelbergensis, would seed three lineages: Neanderthals in Europe-West Asia, Denisovans in Asia, and Homo sapiens in Africa. That turning is where we go next. Cousins, crossroads, and the birth of Homo sapiens. Between 700 to 300 Ca, the fossil record shows archaic humans with large brains, 1/10-100 cc, robust faces, and big bodies. In Europe, Cima de los Huesos Atapuerca, Spain preserves at least 28 individuals, 430 K, often seen as early Neanderthal L-Linane people. In Africa, forms grouped as Homo heidelbergensis or H. Chan. Rhodesiensis in older literature marked transitional morphologies. Their technologies range from Acheulean to Levallois. Wood spears from Schöningen, Germany, 300 Ca, prove that complex hunting weaponry predates fully modern humans. The Neanderthals and Denisovans. Neanderthals, Europe-West Asia, 440 K, weren't brutish cavemen. They had big brains often overlapping modern size, stout bodies adapted to cold barrel chests, short limbs, complex stone toolkits, Mysterian and cultural behaviors, deliberate burials at La Chapelle aux Chaux Saints, Shanidar, where an injured individual lived years with community care, pigments, and possible ornaments. Denisovans were discovered from DNA in 2010 from a fingerbone in Denisova Cave, Altai. Altai, fossils are sparse, but genetics show a distinct archaic lineage with at least 3 sub-branches. Their DNA lives today. Melanesian and some Australian Aboriginal groups carry 3–6% Denisovan ancestry. Many Eurasians carry 2% Neanderthal. Interbreeding facts. Non-African modern humans mostly carry 1–2% Neanderthal DNA. Some populations in Oceania and parts of Asia carry additional Denisovan segments. This admixture likely occurred 50–60 K as modern humans dispersed into Eurasia. Homo sapiens emerges in Africa. The oldest widely accepted Homo sapiens fossils come from Jebel Irhoud, Morocco, dated to E35 Ca, reassessed in 2017. They show a modern-looking face with an elongated brain case. Other key finds: Homo kibish, Homo, are redated to E233 Ca, Herto, P160 Ca. Florisbad, 260 K skull fragment, sometimes grouped with early sapiens. Rather than a single birthplace Eden, many paleoanthropologists now see a Pan-A, African metapopulation, interconnected groups exchanging genes and ideas across Africa. Over time, traits we call modern, globular brain case, lightly built face accumulate. The African techno-cultural crescendo. The African Middle Stone Age explodes with innovation. Brombos Cave, engraved ochre plaques and shell beads, 173 K. Bone points. Possible heat treatment of silkrete stone, 164 K. Pinnacle Point. Sibidu Cave, complex adhesives, plant gums with ochre for hafting stone tips, 70 K, layered bedding, archery signals in some layers. Katanda, bone harpoons, 90 K, likely for riverine fishing. Still Bay and Howisson's Port Industries, 77–65 Ca, finely made points and backed microliths. Projectile weaponry signaling high planning and standardization. These behaviors, symbolic marking, composite tools, long-distance raw material movement, point to advanced cognition before the diaspora. Out of Africa and the world beyond, modern humans made earlier forays out of Africa. There are sapiens fossils in Greece Levante 210 on 70 Ca, but the successful global dispersal ramps up around 70 Ca. The routes: northern corridor through Sinai Levant, southern coastal route, skirting the Arabian shores into South Asia and onward to Southeast Asia and Sahul, Greater Australia. Key waypoints: Australia, Majed Bay, a rock shelter with artifacts, 65 K, some debate, demonstrating water crossings of Wallacea. The open sea was no barrier. Borneo, Sulawesi, cave art in Sulawesi dated to A45 K, hand stencils. Animals. Europe, initial modern human arrival, 45 K. Hay. Within millennia, art blooms. Chauvet 36 K, Lascaux 17 K, Venus figurines 35–25 K. The Americas, long debated. Monteverde, Chile 14–5 K, predates Clovis. Newer evidence, e.g. White Sands footprints in New Mexico, suggests human presence. 21–23 K, ongoing debate about dating protocols. The Great Leap debate. Yuval Noah Harari popularized the cognitive revolution notion, but many archaeologists now prefer a gradualist model. Symbolic behavior and complex tech emerge emergent pulses in Africa, well before 70 Ca, waxing and waning with climate and demography. Innovation is not a single spark, it's a forest of smoldering embers, flaring under the right winds. Religion and myth reflections, creation, scripture, and cosmologies offer parallel origin arcs that begin with deliberate acts, word, breath, light, then radiate into stewardship, law, and meaning. In Hindu Puranas, cycles of creation and dissolution, kalpas, echo the rise and fall pattern we see in archaeological horizons. Aboriginal dreaming locates law and identity in country itself, a perspective remarkably close to the way MSA bands embedded social memory in landscapes, routes, and ritual places. While science reconstructs bones and tools, myth preserves values and belonging, the why behind the how. By 5040 Ca, the world is a network of human and cousin lineages. We, Homo sapiens, are not alone. We're interbreeding with Neanderthals and Denisovans, painting caves and carving bone harpoons, crossing straits and deserts, and adapting to every niche from Saharan oases to Australian savannas. The last act of the Ice Age is about to decide who stays. The last ice, the last cousins, and the first cavemen you'd recognize. The late Pleistocene lasts 226 to 11.7 Ca, brings huge climatic swings, glacials locking water into ice sheets, sea levels 120 ms lower at peak, continents breathing sand and dust, interglacials releasing rivers and coasts. In this unstable theater, human fates diverged. Where the cousins went, Neanderthals disappear from the record by 43.7 Ca, with some refuges possibly later. Why? No single bullet, demography, small fragmented populations are fragile. Climate volatility, cold pulses, hammered forests and prey bases in Europe, competition and pathogens, modern humans arriving with wider social networks and possibly new diseases. Tech and trade. Sapiens often show broader raw material ranges and wider exchange networks, buffering scarcity. Yet they are not gone without a trace. They live in us, 2% in many non-Africans, and in our culture's mirror, empathy, care for the injured Shanidar, and the haunting beauty of Mousterian craftsmanship. Denisovans leave even fewer bones but more genetic echoes. From Tibetan's EPAS-1 variant, likely Denisovan derived, aiding high-altitude adaptation to Oceania's ancestry blocks. They too were part of us. Other human cousins flicker on the stage. Homo floresiensis, hobbits on Flores Island, Indonesia 150 K, short bodies, small brains, stone tools, insular dwarfism. Homo luzonensis in the Philippines 67 K, another island specialist. Homo naledi 335-236 K in South Africa, a smaller brain hominin with deliberate body deposition deep in caves, a startling sign that ritual treatment of the dead may not require a big brain. The caveman reality check. Most Pleistocene people did not live primarily in caves. Caves preserve well, hence the bias, but typical living spaces included open-air camps, rock shelters, huts of wood, bone, and hide. Example, the mammoth thowbone houses of Mezhirish, Ukraine, E15Ka. People were engineers, they sited camps near water and raw materials, managed hearths, and organized space by activity. Napping zones, sleeping areas, cooking pits. Daily life, late Pleistocene, subsistence, bigger game hunts, e.g. reindeer, horses, bison in Europe, smaller game traps, birds, fish, shellfish, wild plant collection. Tools, blade technologies, bone and antler points, barbed harpoons, eyed needles, sewn clothing, composite weaponry. Art and meaning, painted caves. Chauvet, Altamira, Lascaux, portable art. Venus figurines, musical instruments, bone flutes, 43K in Germany. Symbolic life is everywhere. Body paint, ochre, beads, engraved plaques, networks, exchange of obsidian, flint, shells across 100s of km insurance against bad years. Social identity carried on bead strings and motifs into the Americas. The debate roars, but a cautious reconstruction looks like this. People reached North America at least by E15-14-45 K, e.g. Monteverde in Chile, 114-45 K, multiple sites in North America. The Clovis first, model 113-K is out. Clovis is now one remarkable phase among several. Newer claims, e.g. White Sands footprints C2123 Ca, push earlier presence. The dates are provocative and continue to be tested. Routes likely included Pacific coastal corridors when sea levels were low, and, later, inland ice-free corridors when glaciers retreated. Either way, by C21210 Ca, humans were everywhere from the Arctic Circle to Patagonia. Megafauna extinctions, a contested ledger. As humans arrive, many large animals vanish. mammoths and mastodons in the Americas, giant marsupials in Australia, woolly rhinoceros in Eurasia. Overhunting hypothesis: humans are efficient predators, naive megafauna collapse, climate stress, rapid warming and habitat shifts at the end of the Ice Age. Synergy: climate primed the fall, humans gave the push. Region by region, the mix differs. In Australia, extinctions cluster 45-40 K, close to human arrival. In the Americas, 13 to 11 K sees many losses. The debate persists, but our species was part of the equation. The Younger Dryas and the first architecture of memory, around 12.9-11.7 K, climates briefly snap cold again. The Younger Dryas then surge into the Holocene. Meltwater floods raise seas, coastlines sprint inland, rivers redraw their maps. In Upper Mesopotamia, hunter-gatherers of the PPNA culture erect Göbekli Tepe, Tish-shaped limestone pillars with animal reliefs in circular enclosures. No farms yet, just ritual and gathering. Across the Levant, Natufian hamlets, 14.5 to 11.5 K, foreshadow sedentism, stone houses, cemeteries, sickle gloss on flints from intensive cereal harvesting. In China, pottery appears 20 K at Xianrendong before farming, possibly for cooking aquatic foods. In Japan's Jomon, pottery deepens into a rich hunter-gatherer tradition. The Neolithic Revolution was not a switch. It was a long, regionally diverse reconfiguration. But that's beyond our title. We promised before humans, meaning before us. Modern people, and from apes to cavemen. The long apprenticeship that made us possible. Faith, meaning, and what the record really says. Most religious traditions do not aim to be biology textbooks. They are maps of meaning, not phylogenies. Genesis opens with order drawn from chaos. The Quran frames humans as knowing users of names. The Vedas weave creation as sound and breath. Aboriginal dreaming places law in the land. Science says life evolved, lineages branched, and we are one branch in a vast family. These can coexist. One asks why, the other asks how. What the record says with high confidence: we share a common ancestor with other African apes, 6 to 8 Ma. Bipedalism precedes large brains, stone toolmaking precedes agriculture by millions of years. Many human species existed, only Homo sapiens remains. But admixture with Neanderthals or Denisovans is written in our DNA. Modern human behaviors, symbolic marking, complex tools, long-distance exchange, arise in Africa well before our global expansion. Our success is not just brains, it's cooperation, teaching, and memory, stored in stories, places, and things. Open questions and lived debates, exact branching orders among early Homo and late Australopiths. The timing and geography of languages full flowering. The balance of causes in megafaunal extinctions. The precise routes and timings of America's settlement. The last word before the first city. Cavemen weren't a single people. There were countless bands across 2 million winters. Toolmakers, singers, navigators, foragers, engineers, midwives, artists, astronomers of the eye, reading the sky for weather and seasons. They mapped the world in footsteps and stories. They tamed fire. They crossed seas most animals never see. And in the end, they left us everything that matters. Hands that learn, minds that imagine, and circles around a hearth where knowledge is passed, one voice to another. If you want the short version of a very long story, it's this. Before humans existed, evolution built a creature that could turn landscapes into memory and memory into survival.